Hello, and welcome to Spotlight in Bensenville. My name is Frank DeSimone, Village President, and your host for this episode. Today we'll be discussing the Bensenville finances and 2021 budget with our guest Evan Summers, Village Manager, and Julie McManus, Finance Director. Welcome to the show, everybody.
How you doing,
Good morning.
Mayor?
2020 has been unprecedented for communities across the globe. The COVID-19 pandemic has saddled state and local governments with a host of added costs and reduced economic activity. What has been the village's strategic approach to minimize this budget challenge?
I'll start off with that one, Your Honor. I think the operative word that you just said is strategic. When COVID-19 was breaking out in March, Julie and I got together and realized the economic pain that we were about to suffer. So we went department by department and found areas where we could cut cost and what we were projecting revenue at. As you remember, you played a key role in that. I got a little excited there, and I was ready to make a lot of cuts really quick, but you kind of walked me off the ledge, and we went and made it very methodically through the budget. We basically did a rebudget of our 2020 budget.
So why don't we get right to it? How are the village's finances?
We're going to be okay. We're going to be okay. We have, through your leadership and then Julie's analysis, the village came into this pandemic with a very, very healthy balance sheet. In 2019, we added almost $2 million to the fund balance, which was just phenomenal to have in our back pocket. We've got significant unrestricted fund balance, and I'll let Julie go into kind of what those numbers actually are and what they mean. Julie?
Yeah, I would also say we did very well, despite we're looking at potentially a loss of $2 million of revenue even this year from the effects of the pandemic. We're weathering the storm very well, and all the departments stepped up, and we did a lot of strategic looking at, how do our departments look, particularly in recreation, in our community development. And we were able to reorganize some things that are going to give us permanent savings even going forward. So right now it's looking pretty good despite the circumstances.
So can you explain a little bit about cash reserves and our general fund obligations?
Julie?
Yeah, right now we're anticipating going into 2021 with a $10 million general fund unrestricted reserve. That's twice the amount that the village requires us to have. And it gives us a nice little cushion going forward in case this pandemic has effects that last for 2, maybe even 3 years.
So we just finished the 2021 budget. Can you give us some details on the anticipated expenses and the revenues for next year?
Yes, we have both anticipated revenues and expenditures of about $18 million. That's probably about $2.5 million down from what we would see in a normal year. Despite having both of those offsets, we are looking at only digging into our reserves at about $160,000. And that's without us raising any taxes on our residents or increasing any of the general rates on any of the residences. So we were able to both hone down in on our expenditure side, be creative on some revenue side issues to come out pretty well this year with only the $160,000 loss.
And Mary, I talk to a lot of the managers on a weekly basis, and I got to say, talking to our neighbors, we are in a much better position than some of our other neighbors. Because of our finances, we had very diversified areas of revenue, and we had controlled expenses. We're not overly relying on things like sales tax or things like hotel motel tax or food and beverage tax. Those things have gotten decimated. So some of those communities that were, a lot of people looked up to, we're now seeing that there is some structural imbalances in their budgets that they're going to have to struggle with for the foreseeable future. So because we came into this with a conservative budget for several years in a row, we were prepared to handle this.
I know, Julie, you mentioned one major statement in that last answer. What did you say about property taxes for everybody in the village? We're what?
No, property taxes are pretty even, except we are not raising any rates, either property tax or water sewer rates on the general population during this crisis.
That just sounds so good. We are not raising property taxes.
Well, we know what that means. We know that households out there are struggling. We know businesses are struggling. now is not the time to raise property taxes. And because we were in such a strong financial position going into it, we didn't have to. I don't think that's going to be the case for the state of Illinois or other communities around us. They're going to have to raise taxes, but Bensenville residents and businesses can rest assured that we're going to give you a little bit of reprieve on your property taxes and not have to raise them. So, as the famous saying goes, read my lips, no new property taxes.
So let's talk about property taxes. Where do my property taxes go?
Well, 43% of the property taxes go towards public safety and police work. That's a pretty big chunk, and we pretty much make that a priority, I think, here at the village through the board's direction. Secondly, 17% goes to our public works department, which does the snow plowing, takes care of the common areas, takes care of the streets, roads, and our trees. So that's another big chunk. After that, we have a community development contribution of about 6% of your taxes, and that's used to keep our business areas vibrant so that we can keep generating sales tax and keep your property taxes down, as well as make things safe in the village to make sure that all construction is done according to code and that there's nothing going on out there that the village doesn't know about or doesn't accept. Other than that, we've got about 4% going to the Parks and Recreation Department, which is the aquatic center, the theater, and the Redmond Park area. And the rest goes to administration, governance, and a variety of events that are put on by the village, which we're hoping to still continue, pandemic permitting, into the next year.
And I think it's important to remember that what Julie's talking about when she's talking about those numbers is just the village portion of your tax bill. And I think a lot of people forget that only about 10% of your property tax bill that you pay every year comes back to the village. So if you have a $7,000 property tax bill, $700 of that will come to the village. And the vast majority, about 70% of it, goes to things like 70% goes to education right off the top. So that's where most of the property tax goes. So when you think about that, when I pay my property taxes, I get a pretty good value, I think, from the village of Bensenville. To have my streets plowed, to have water pressure there at all times, and to have police protection, I think it's a pretty good value proposition that the village of Bensenville offers taxpayers.
So is the village eligible for any federal or state, maybe any local government relief programs?
Absolutely. So related to the pandemic, the DuPage County received $161 million in CARES Act funding, and that was because the money had to go to municipalities, which the county is technically, of 500,000 or more. So any county or city that had over 500,000 people in it had received CARES Act funding. Well, we fought very hard to get our piece of that pie. So we created a DuPage County-wide funding formula on a per capita basis. So because Bensenville's population, we brought in just under $1 million in CARES Act funding, which was not budgeted for, which really helped take some pressure off our finances. That money went to go pay the salaries of our police officers during the pandemic period, and that was an eligible expense. So it was a great way that we could just take a little bit of pressure, and this has been a stressful time for all of us, but our budget wasn't stressed.
So how can residents find out more about the village finances and the budget?
Julie?
Well, we have many places on the village website that can be viewed. There is the Citizens Transparency Center that has our annual financial reports, as well as our budgets and the salary postings that we need to make every year. There's a utility billing section on there that will answer all the questions related to water, sewer, and other questions. And of course, you can call the village at any time or put in a FOIA to get information that's not readily available.
I hope you two have a few more minutes to hang out with us. We need to take a quick break, but I promise all of our viewers we're going to come back with more hard-hitting finance and budget questions in a minute. But just give us a few minutes and we'll be right back after this short commercial break.
Hi there. I want to take you on a journey through a community powered by SeeClickFix. Here, internal operations are streamlined with more intuitive, secure workflows and communications. Here, let me show you how it all works. C-Click Fix organizes, tracks, and manages service requests from everyday citizens through a single application. When they see a problem, a few clicks is all it takes to send off a service request. From there, the right people get the request and get to work. All communication and task management is seamlessly coordinated through the app. Citizens can see the work being done and even receive a follow-up message when the work is completed. It's a team effort all around, and you have the data you need to make better decisions. Cities large and small use C-Click Fix to accomplish more for their citizens with the staff, time, and budget they've already got. Get started today.
C-Click Fix is a tool to report non-emergency issues to City Hall, built to be easy to use for anyone on the go. When you see an issue, take less than a minute to report on C-Click Fix. First, hold the app and press Report. Then, press the camera icon to take a picture or video from the app or your image gallery. After that, the app uses geolocation to capture your exact location, or you can manually choose your location or address using the Map tool. When you press Issue Title, you'll be able to choose from the request types that your local government provides. You'll finish up by including a brief description of the issue, such as where it is, what it looks like, and any other important information to help your local government fix the issue. Then, press Done, and then Submit, and you're ready to go. C-Click Fix, a simple and valuable way to help you build a stronger community.
Welcome back to Spotlight in Bensenville. My name is Frank D. Simone, Village President, and your host for this episode. Today we're discussing the Bensenville finances and our 2021 budget with our guest Evan Summers, Village Manager, and Julie McManus, Finance Director. Welcome back to the show.
How you doing?
Thank you.
I'm good, thank you. So the Finance Department handles the local water billing. How can I be sure that my meter is reading properly?
Well, we have a variety of resources that we can use to make sure that your meter is reading properly. The most important one is you can join our service called AquaHawk by going onto the village's website, and you can monitor your own usage on a daily and even hourly basis if you want to. So you can see whether or not what you think you're using is accurate as you go forward. If you have a water leak type issue, we have our clerical staff on hand who can walk you through any number of procedures to figure out whether you have a water leak, including putting tablets in a toilet to see if that's leaking, or shutting down your water and looking at your meter and kind of watching to see if it's rolling, even though you think no water is being used. So we have a variety of resources for you if you need them.
I just want to emphasize AquaHawk is such a powerful tool in monitoring your water usage. I'm signed up for it, and I didn't turn off the spigot of my outside spigot completely off, and all of a sudden I get a text alert that says unusual water usage at your house. Well, I ran around my house, found it, and it saved me probably hundreds and hundreds of dollars just by knowing that that water was flowing. So we hear that all the time. Julie and I get those complaints from residents that, oh my God, my kid left the water running, I didn't know, and that can add up real quick. So AquaHawk is just something that can, they send you a text on your phone, let you know unusual water usage. You can go through and find out where that water usage is occurring.
So what does the village do to promote transparency?
I think the real question on that is, what don't we do to promote transparency? We have a dedicated transparency section on our website, and we encourage everyone to go there to find out information about where your money is being spent. We also fulfill hundreds and hundreds of FOIA requests every year, and we go above and beyond on those freedom of information requests. Not only do we send the information that's requested to the person asking the question, but we also post those responses to our website as well. So any resident or advocate can go onto our website and see what our responses to FOIAs are. And then also there's just the human way. If you've got a question about what the business of the village is, give me a call, give our front desk a call. They'll put you in touch with someone who can help answer your questions.
Can you talk about the village's bond rating? What does it mean, and how has the village's changed?
Julie, do you want to start off with this one?
Sure. The current bond rating under Moody's is a AA3, and the current rating under Standard & Poor's is AA-. Both have been kind of with the district or the village for several years. I think we haven't had a change since 2013 occur. However, we are currently going through a refinance of a couple debts on our books that is going to create some significant savings, one for our TIF and one for our special service area taxpayers. That's going to probably save them, the village as a whole, more than $1.5 million. And as part of that, we're going through another rate review, and we're kind of hoping that we'll get a little bit of a rate boost here because we've had so much success in paying off some of our old debt and not taking on a whole lot of new debt in the last few years.
You know, and even just maintaining our bond rating is important right now. The state of Illinois kind of has their thumb on municipalities just because their financial house is so out of order. So bond rating agencies have kind of started hitting municipalities and knocking them just for existing in the state of Illinois because it's so uncertain with what the finances of the state are going to be. We've avoided that, thankfully, and it's because of our conservative budgeting, but we've avoided any downgrade that the rating agencies could have given us. And then when Julie mentioned the refinancing, you know, I'm a believer that never let a crisis pass you by. So while interest rates are depressed right now, we're going to take full advantage and refinance some of our outstanding debt, just like homeowners are out there refinancing their mortgages.
So does the village apply for and receive any kind of grants?
We probably have been receiving an average of $500,000 to $600,000 worth of grants just from the construction projects that we've been putting through. For 2021, we have a $400,000 CDBG grant coming for lighting. We have several others coming from the construction side as well, but we also apply for littler grants, anything that'll help support us. I know we've been successful in a couple census grants so that we can get people to report on the census side. We always get some police force grants for vests and overtime to do patrolling for specific things, maybe for phone calls, you know, the calling while they're driving, or for alcohol related incidents, those types of things. So we've been very successful across the board.
Yeah, and grants are kind of how we leverage taxpayer dollars. When we're talking federal grants, those are typically a lot of them are 80-20 grants. And what that means is the village has to put up 20% and the feds put up 80%. So to think about it, it's like Mayor, if I gave you 20 cents and you gave me $1 back, well, I would do that deal all day. That really helps leverage the amount of money that we can put back into our community.
So does the village offer cost-saving options for the seniors or low-income residents?
Absolutely, we do. So I can start off with a few of them. I'm sure Julie will remind me of a couple more. First off, the vehicle sticker program. Our vehicle stickers are, is it $1 for 2 years? Is
$1 for 2 years.
$1 for 2 years. I think that's a pretty good deal. The average resident is paying about $35, so pretty big savings there. We also have our senior and disabled snowplow program, as well as a senior disabled lawn mowing program. Those are two initiatives that you brought to us, Mayor, and wildly successful. We've got 100 residents, 100 households enrolled in each of those programs. Julie, am I forgetting anything?
Yeah, the only thing I'd add is we do give a small credit on water and sewer bills also if you're a senior here. So those are all very, a lot of people apply for them. They're happy to get them. Even when they're not, you know, the full part of the bill or a major part of the bill, they go a long way towards helping.
And we also encourage people to go to Addison Township once they become senior citizens and apply for their senior exemption and property tax freeze.
Well, that's available for low income as well. Addison Township does offer some programs for low income people for water and sewer bills, and we encourage them to do that when they're having difficulty.
If residents have questions about their bills or about the village finances, where can they turn for more information?
However they want to turn to us, we can help answer those questions. So they can go to our website. That's always a great place to go. And I know we beat it like a dead horse, but there's so much information on there. Go to bensenville.il.us or give us a call if you want to. If your bill looks a little different than you expected it to look, give us a call and we'll walk you through that. Or stop on in. A village hall is open. Even in this pandemic, we have opened village hall safely. Come in, bring your bills that you have a question on, and our dedicated staff can help you decipher them.
Great show. Thank you guys for all your information. Thank you for being a part of it. And thank you so much for joining us. And be sure to tune in next week for Spotlight in Bensenville.